morning and welcome to Inside the Middle East, a question and answer series at the Middle Eastern Initiative. My name is Andrew Ma, and I'm an undergraduate associate writer at the Journal for Middle Eastern Politics and Policy. With me today is Dr. Marwan Muasher, Vice President for Studies and Director of the Middle East Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Dr. Muasher also served as Jordan's Foreign Minister from 2002 to 2004 and Deputy Prime Minister from 2004 to 2005, and his career has spanned the areas of diplomacy, development, civil society, and communications. Dr. Muasher, it's great to see you back here at Harvard, and thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you.
So my first question for you today is, with the latest events in Gaza and Iraq and continuing crises in Syria, Libya, and Yemen, where do you see the Middle East today, and what do you think will be different in the next decade?
The Middle East is not in a good place. The Arab uprisings have not, maybe with the exception of Tunisia, have not led yet to pluralistic democratic societies. And I think what we are seeing today is a disintegration due to failed political, economic, and cultural policies in the Arab world. You would hope that in the next decade or two will be different. I think that with the exception of Tunisia again, I think that the Arab world is going to go through a longer period of time until it realizes that without policies of pluralism, of inclusion, of respecting diversity, the future is going to be a bit bleak.
Right. So you recently published a book in January of this year titled The Second Arab Awakening and the Battle for Pluralism. One of your assertions is that many actors, including the United States, Europe, Israel, and Arab governments, were, as you stated, deeply misguided about their views of Arab politics and society upon the arrival of the Arab Spring. Can you elaborate shortly on that and what that means and what has changed in light of events this summer?
I think the Arab world went through decades of artificial stability. It was stability brought about by brute force and not stability brought about as a result of people feeling content about their situation, both political and economic. With the Arab uprisings, that guided notion of stability has been shattered. If we are to move forward to natural stability, then I think that political systems need to be changed in the direction of accepting diversity and accepting pluralism. Economic systems have to be changed also to create jobs for people. And cultural and educational systems need to be changed too, so that a new value system is introduced that respects diversity, respects different points of view, something that we have not seen in the Arab world. For that to happen, of course, is going to require a generation or two and not few years. And that is why, while I think that the Arab world is going through a needed period of change, that change is not going to come about overnight.
Right. So for those who point towards the Egyptian government as an example of an Arab winter rather than an Arab spring, what would you say? Is it in a period of transformation? Is it a period of change? Or is it something that we just need to wait for?
I think the two major forces in the Arab world, the secular, if you want, authoritarian forces, as well as the religious opposition, have not proved to be democratic. Egypt is a case in point. When the Islamists were in Egypt, they behaved in a very majoritarian way, tried to push a constitution against the consensus of all sides of society. The secular forces today in Egypt, backed by the military, of course, are doing exactly the same and behaving in the same exclusionist manner that they have accused the Islamists of. And that is why I think Egypt is still going through a transition. It is not going to put itself on a solid track of transition until it realizes that both sides cannot negate each other.
Great. So my last question for you is, in the last couple of months, you've had a number of media appearances in regards to the role of the region, in responding to the campaign of the extremist Islamic State. In your view, why is it important that the region play a larger role in cooperating to fight ISIS? And how likely do you think that it is that regional cooperation on this issue will actually occur? So namely, given the recent fractures and transnational alliances caused by the Arab Spring, do you think that the fight against ISIS is a point around which these Arab nations can rally as a whole?
I see the fight against ISIS as not just a military one, but a cultural one as well. I'm not as worried about ISIS military strength as I am worried about a culture that is extremely exclusionist, radical, violent. And that is the culture that needs to be fought. Unfortunately, neither the West nor the region has been apt at non-military solutions. And so while forces like ISIS need to be fought militarily and defeated militarily, that defeat is not going to be complete if the region stops at that and don't deal with the underlying reasons for why forces such as ISIS evolved in the first place. That is a fight that I see as long, and unfortunately I think that most countries in the region have not internalized that it is due to their failed policies that forces like ISIS have evolved over time. Until that takes place, and until the economic, political and cultural systems are revisited in a serious manner, I'm afraid that the fight against ISIS is going to take a long time.
Right. So can you give me some examples of non-military interventions these regional countries?
I think that economic systems need to be changed so that we have more inclusive growth. The region is extremely young. 70% of people are under 30 years of age, and so they need jobs. Job creation is very important, and systems in the Arab world have been sort of rentier systems, systems that have given privileges to few at the expense of money, but that have not really encouraged productivity and the kind of systems that would create jobs. Politically, people still feel excluded, and it is partly because of this exclusion, politically and economically, that many, or some at least in the Arab world, look at ISIS as a rallying point against the establishment. And so, they sometimes, you find them supporting radical forces, not because they believe in their ideology, but because they see in themselves, in such forces, a rallying point against the establishment.
Great, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your comments. I think this interview went very well, and thank you again for being on campus with us today.
Thank you.